Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to beautiful Belmont Park. Cloudy but mild today. The temperature will be right around 70 degrees. The main track is fast, the turf courses are firm, and the portable rails are set out at 27 feet on both the Widener and the inner. We have a jackpot carryover today in the Empire 6 of more than $134,000. And here are the changes. In the first race, scratch 1 Dark Money, 1A I Love Jackson, and scratch the 7 Just Right. Scratch 1A and 7. Second race, scratch number 4 No Lime. Scratch the 4. In today's third race, scratch the 3 Puffery, 4 Kathy Naz, and 7 Merlin's Muse. Third race, scratch 3, 4, and 7. The Empire 6 starts in race 4 today, and in the fourth race, scratch 2 Fed Funds and 5 Blood Moon. Fourth race, scratch the 2 and the 5. Race 5, note that number 5, Tri St. Lorenzo, runs with cheek pieces again. In the sixth race, scratch number 8, Simply Sweet. Scratch number 8. No changes in the seventh. In the eighth race, we have these scratches. Scratch 1, Winston's Chance, 2, Expert, 3, Dark Storm, and the 5, King's Honor. Scratch 1, 2, 3, and 5 out of race 8. And in the ninth race, scratch 2, Kingfish, 12, Just in Time for Wine, and 13, Open Lengths. Ninth race, scratch 2, 12, and 13. Main track fast, turf courses firm, jackpot carryover in the Empire 6 of $134,370. We'll come back at 12:30 to recap the changes. Today's first race post is at 12:50. Up next, it's the Thursday edition of Talking Horses with Acacia Courtney and Anthony Stabile.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Welcome to the Thursday edition of Talking Horses, brought to you as always by Saratoga Water. I'll practice my hand modeling.
See, I hope Andy's watching. This is how you do it right here. That's how you do it.
Andy Serling is on vacation this week. I'm Acacia Courtney filling in. Pleased to be joined by my good friend Anthony Stabile for a little A-Train reunion this week.
Yes, all week long. Looking forward to Talking Horses. Yeah, should be a fun week.
Good.
2 weeks left here at beautiful Belmont Park. A very this felt quick.
Yeah.
Felt like it went quickly, and Breeders' Cup just around the corner. I know we got a promo to help you take advantage of that. And Breeders' Cup 2 weeks away. Been doing a lot of stuff on HRN, counting down.
Nice.
Talked to Stanley Huff yesterday about a little global campaign and the Classic. Yeah, it's it's amazing. You see all the the horses that are going to get the headlines. Tisdale, obviously, here in New York, the New York bred, looking to keep his undefeated streak outside of Churchill Downs intact with the Breeders' Cup Classic. The three-headed monster from Bob Baffert. Global Campaign, who won our Woodward at Saratoga, kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit. And there are plenty of people watching this show today that don't realize that Stanley Huff's been doing this for longer than most of us. You're born, longer than I'm born. And it was great to talk to Stanley yesterday. And I said this going into the Preakness. The fan in me was rooting for Swiss Skydiver because she's the story. The fan in me here is rooting for Global Campaign. Yeah. I'd like to see Global Campaign get it done for Stanley. I don't know if he can, but I'd like to see a real tried and true New Yorker. I mean, guy was winning races here when, man, I was riding weight. So it'll be nice to see Global Campaign for Stanley in that Breeders' Cup Classic.
Absolutely. Winner of our Woodward, as you mentioned, had those foot issues as a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old that kind of kept him off the track for a little while, but great to see him back to his winning ways, and lots of storylines into that Breeders' Cup Classic and all of the Breeders' Cup races. But as Anthony mentioned, we do have a promo to help you out here. As we hope that you are a member of Naira Bets. You can use promo code CUP25. Get that free $25 bet plus up to that $200 sign-up bonus. Get started on the Naira Bets app or nairabets.com. There's a look at Swiss Skydiver, Breeders' Cup Distaff Contender. And also, don't forget about that Belmont Saturday contest, $250 buy-in. It's all cash prizes. You can register now at naira.com/challenge. Always a lot of fun to watch the leaderboard on that as well as we get ready to dive right in. 9-race card today on Thursday afternoon, starting with the first race, Anthony. Fast and firm here at beautiful Belmont Park. We're going a mile on the turf for the New York Breds. Speaking of New York Breds, we're kicking things off with the New York Breds as we have New York Showcase coming up this weekend, where the New York Breds get their day in the sun on Saturday, which is always a lot of fun. Absolutely.
Yeah, we have 3 of them now. Memorial Day has turned into the first of the 3, then right before the Travers at Saratoga, and then this is the traditional one. God, this one, we talk about Tisdale Law moving in. He didn't take part, but Funnyside sure did back in 2002. Remember when Funnyside won the Sleepy Hollow? That's when I got down on him in Vegas at over 100-1 for the Kentucky Derby. So held off Spike the Devil, the Chief.
I like it.
So, yeah, always a fun day. 11 races Saturday, I believe. All state
very, very competitive cards for
very
sure.
Competitive card.
Looking at these New York Breds here in the opener, the 2 Catch a Cab has been favored in the last 4 out of 5 starts since moving to the barn of Mike Maker. He did get it done for $25,000 back here in July. This is his race last time out, Anthony, where he finished 4th. And to me, it just did not look comfortable going between horses, kind of got shut off a little bit, shifting outside, just not really perhaps as much punch as you might like to see for a horse that's continued to take a lot of money for top connections.
He faced an open company bunch last time, and he's back in with his friends. I got to tell you, though, Acacia, I didn't like that last effort.
Yeah, me too.
He just, like you said, he didn't kick. And I know it was a little bit tougher. Look, these quarter New York breds, they're salty. Was the bunch last time a little bit better? Yeah. But he had no real kick. He regressed speed figure in the speed figure department. And, you know, I worry about the fact that he's kind of, I don't want to say he's gone the wrong way, but he's kind of stalled. And I think there are a couple other horses in here. You have them all the way fourth. I mean, I could have absolutely done that, because there are some other horses in here that have a little more interest that are a little more interesting to figure to be a better price.
Yeah, to the outside, I mean, you've got nuts for bolts. I don't think you can leave off anything that Rob Atras is sending out right now. The barn is certainly en fuego, and this horse was beaten for this level, but just 3/4 of a length too back.
And speaking of horses that ran against better last time out, graded on a curve is a borderline state bred stakes horse.
Yep.
Click at that. Since Jimmy Jerkins added the Lasix, has been a different kind of horse as well. I think he was gelded.
Yeah.
You know, they're borderline state bred stakes horses. Last time I came on here, and I thought there was an interesting note. It turned out that it was just a clerical mistake. The horse should have been entered for the tag. So my little wise guy angle was not that at all. I thought the horse still ran well, made up some ground. And he just makes a lot of sense in here. And like you said, he ran at a time where, yeah, it was just 3 weeks ago, but the Atras barn, it's night and day compared to the last time this horse ran to today. So, in part because of how hot the barn is, I put him on top.
I landed on Dr. Shane, and I don't, it's hard to love a horse like this who just has seemed to just not maybe be where he used to be, and clearly it's a significant drop in class, but just given how he's been running lately, it looks like it's needed. I mean, he was well beaten last time out, but against tougher. Maxwell Esquire came back to win again with a 94 Beyer speed figure in the only turf race we ran back on Thursday. He's just been running against tougher. He's a horse I've always had a bit of an affinity for, and I think he's just kind of been lost in the shuffle a bit because he does have a little bit of natural speed. He can be forwardly placed, so I'm hoping with just running against, like you said, finding his friends, maybe this is just going to be the right spot and he'll get a little bit of a better trip. He's going to need to step forward, though. I know that.
I was tempted to put him on top as well. What bothers me is the point you brought up. This horse used to have a ton of speed, and it's gone. Now, I don't know if it's gone because he's been facing that much tougher, or if it's just gone.
Yep.
If it's gone, he's in a lot of trouble. If it's not, he has two other horses in here that at one point we'd have had some pace on in here in Pipes and Hit It Once More. Pipes still has some of his speed. Hit It Once More is another horse. You know, I know he's kind of gone the wrong way. They're going to try him back on the turf again. He has some races on the turf way back when, over a year and a half ago. If Dr. Shane can get loose on these horses, he can win. And I think you have to use him a little bit protectively in here, because he's the horse that, if he gets to the top, I think can control this and lead him on a merry chase.
That would be the hope. We'll see if he can do it. Right now, early money coming to the 3 Ghost Giants stretching out. But an interesting way to kick off the card as we flip the page to the second race. Starter allowance, 6.5 furlongs on the main track. Scratch, no lime. You go to the outside here with Advance Notice, who was expensive as a son of Curlin and kind of got a sneaky one in, winning on debut for $20,000.
Yeah, they didn't expect much out of this horse after he was paying $350 for him. Ran him for the bottom in Saratoga. He beat a prohibitive Chad Brown favorite that afternoon. He beat him handily, too. Yep. They came back and they ran him a mile. And, you know, we talked about this in the first race about, you know, a tough bunch. He ran against Kumar.
Yep.
You know, who Kumar would be any price in this heat. Even Grit and Glory, who won the first race at the Saratoga meet, he's been okay. He just made a lot of sense to me. I know he's going to be a short price. He probably didn't want to go the mile last time as well. He cuts back to the distance he broke his maiden at. He made a lot of sense, as did Saratoga Pal. To me, this was a type of race where I want to use 5s and 7s and I feel like I'm golden going forward. Maybe that's a little bit of a narrow-minded view for a starter allowance race, but I've kind of had enough of Big Boy Mo. You know, Burning Through Gold has that one race, which seems like 100 years ago at this point, right? You were down at Gulfstream.
Yep.
Victory Built's a little slow. Freedom Force ran well, but he had to drop in for the 20 to win as well, and I can't imagine he's going to control on the lead like he did last time. So I thought the two favorites made a lot of sense here.
Yeah, for sure. I preferred Saratoga Pal slightly in here, and we have a stat for Chris Engelhart, who he's one of these guys that just consistently seems to have good numbers with pretty much everything you look up, as this is going from route to sprint on the dirt, just looking at Belmont, and it is a slightly negative ROI, but I thought it was pretty telling in that it was 4 for 20 winning, and nearly half of the time in the money. It's 9 for 20 in the money, and these horses do seem to do well. And to me, watching this last race, he comes out of that Kumar race as well, and he ran fine. It just seems like he's got a little bit more kick when sprinting. So hoping that going back to what could be his preferred distance, and he faced a very live field 2 starts back, that he broke his maiden against Saratoga. So I don't think that that was necessarily a fluke, though it took him a little time to break his maiden.
Yeah, he's in a race surrounded by horses that want to be forwardly placed. Now, they're not all fast enough, and the fact of the matter is, Fresh Gelding, you have Burning Through Gold third, and that's probably the smarter move. I do concede that you're the smarter of the two people on this stage today. It's normally the case.
Not always.
This horse makes some sense as a gelding. I've just kind of had enough. And I do feel like with these horses, and it's not a big break, but he has a little bit of a layoff line since the middle of July, end of July. The extra, that half a furlong, going 6.5, I think is key, because he's supposed to get in front of these horses, but he's also supposed to have some horses chasing him around there. And that's why I think it sets up for a horse like Advanced Notice, who shouldn't be too far behind, and your top pick, who should be picking him up late.
Favorites could sit a good trip there in the second. As we go on to the third race, 7 furlongs on the turf for the New York Breds, allowance optional claiming. And boy, Risky Mischief seems to have certainly found her home on the turf, as she got a win at Saratoga 2 starts back, and last time out, boy, this was a tough defeat if you had her that day, as she just could not get to Saratoga Love, waiting for room there on the rail in the blue silks. But I think it's very encouraging, and if I'm not mistaken, it was per recommendation of Jose Ortiz, who had ridden her quite a few times, that she should handle the turf, and obviously that was the right call. I read Ortiz up today, who did win on her 2 back.
This was a double whammy for me, because I used her in a pick 5 ticket, and got beat by a horse that's a little bit of a pet of mine, Saratoga Love. Had her down here when she broke her maiden, had her up in Saratoga when she won the 8 of the end. I hate when they beat me, and she beat me like 8-1 that day too. Boy, as unfortunate a trip, and I know Risky Mischief saved a lot of ground and was able to, but they let Saratoga Love walk the proverbial dog on the front end that day, and this filly ran lights out. I mean, she ran well first time on the turf, improved 8 buyer speed figures points. Fierce Ladies in here. You know, you have horses like VIP Nation in here. Elegant Zip has a little early speed. She's supposed to get a very nice setup in here again. She's drawn inside, and she'd get another, save some more ground. And the way she ran at the 6 last time, I would think the 7, especially with some front-running types in here, is going to be her friend this afternoon.
I totally agree. Slight stretch out shouldn't be a problem. The way she finished up, she was able to settle nicely. You mentioned how she saved ground. Seems like some good positive moves for her there. Towards the outside, a couple of horses who we've gotten the exact. I landed on Dancing with Daffodils in second, turning back a bit, won at the 7 furlongs. And I think it's interesting, Jose Ortiz back aboard. And I remember when she won that day, I believe the regular groom of this mare is a good friend of Jose's. And he jumped off and was like cooling her out, hosing her down. It was just really, really cool to see. So I know that he's a fan of this mare.
It was closing day here before we went to Saratoga. It was a zillion degrees. And he was hitting it with the hose afterwards. I mean, Jose, Arad, Manny, Franco, all the jockeys that graduated from the school in Puerto Rico, they're not just riders, they're horsemen. And that kind of kicks in whenever you need a helping hand. And it's nice to see guys at the very top of the game still going back to their roots and not being not being above hitting a filly with a hose after she ran her heart out. When I feel pretty confident in Risky Mischief in here, Courageous Dinah is a horse that Andy had last year at a big price, based on her only other turf sprint. Now, her only other turf sprint's not on the card anymore. Her only turf sprint on the card is a win right here at Belmont, going 7 furlongs. Javier Castellano is going to pick up the mount. Now, she hasn't run since August. She's only got 3 races this year. But if you look at the 3 races, the one is sprinting against Mentality here at Belmont, going 6 furlongs. That was off a November layoff. And then for some reason, even though she had won on dirt, both wet and dry, they left her in a couple off the turf races. She just didn't fire her best shot. She's a turf horse, and she's going to get to do what she does best today, and that's turf sprint. Again, you have horses like Fierce Lady, who's trying the turf for the first time. I do worry about her a little bit. There's not a lot of turf pedigree there, but she looks to be, to me anyway, the speed of the speed. I think she's the fastest in here, and if she takes to the turf, yes, she has to negotiate 7 furlongs as well, but I worry about these horses. Luis Saez, nobody more aggressive lately than Louis. I worry about a filly like her getting loose on them, but I think I'm going to try and play this 1-2, 1-8, press the 1 Risky Mischief in the multis, and then maybe have a backup ticket using Fierce Lady and Courageous Dinah, because you know, knowing that one of them is going to get loose and one of them likes the turf sprint.
What about VIP Nation? Because they're both, her and Fierce Lady, are trained by Rudy Rodriguez, and Fierce Lady is fast. She's small, she's like a sprinter, she just is a rocket out of the gate, but she doesn't really have turf pedigree, as you mentioned. Do you think VIP Nation's going to sit a little bit turning back?
Yeah, I mean, I think she almost has to. She tried to wire him last time when Short Poor, of all horses, came from off the pace to win. She came from off the pace to win.
Yeah.
You know, she's wired them going 7. That was a day when Kendra Carmouche kind of just was able to, again, walk the dog on the front end, almost 46 to the half. And she beat a little bit of a suspect bunch that afternoon. Yeah. She's not as fast as Fierce Lady, and you know, I don't know if I really want her, not necessarily on the chase, but having to pass horses. She hasn't really shown an affinity for passing horses in the past.
She hasn't. She likes to be on the front end. Should be interesting to see how the pace does play out, but Anthony and I agreeing, Risky Mischief turned into another horse on the turf as we flip the page, sticking on the grass this time on the inner turf for the 4th race. Milan is 16th for this.
Empire 6 time.
Empire 6 time already. That's right. 9 races today.
134,000, I think, the carryover.
Got a nice carryover in there.
A little changing, a little jingle in there too.
20-cent wager for that jackpot wager. Pick 6 starts here with just the 9-race card, so don't forget about that. $50,000 claiming race kicks things off, and here, as in the 4th race, me and Mr. C and Doubly Blessed, they're rematching from their last race, both for Mike Maker. And while me and Mr. C was the winner that day, Doubly Blessed is on the inside in the 3 Diamonds Farm colors, me and Mr. C outside. I thought, given the trip that he had, he actually might have run the better race, being stuck down inside.
This was a little bit they knew, right? And I'm not patting myself on the back for picking a 570 winner, but I like this horse a little bit this day. Did I expect this? No. Did I expect 8 to 5?
My dad bet him,
no.
Mr. C, Mr. Courtney.
Yeah, that makes sense. Good job, Brian. I don't know where this race came from. I don't know where this race came from. I know the race at Tampa earlier this year was kind of similar. He came with his own move. What bothers me is after that, he had a 3-month break. Yeah. There's no 3-month break here. There's a month, 5 weeks. And, you know, again, where did that come from? I don't know where that race came from. I'll tell you what. If he can find it again, he's going to be right there. But at a short price, David laid him 8 to 5 on the morning line. That's probably where he's going to be. I want to take a couple of shots against him today.
You like Dyna Drive, who's taking a drop in class, second off the claim.
I do. Kelly Breen claimed this horse off of Mike Maker. That's not something I ordinarily want to do. But Kelly and assistant John Atfield, the whole barn does an amazing job up here. John's up here all winter long. This horse has been as consistent as they come on the turf course. And I think, again, you know, in a race like this, when you have a horse like Ocean's Map in here, even the bottom creative plan a little bit, you got a little speed in here. The one Talking's adding blinkers. His best races when he went wide, almost wide to wire in his debut. I got to think there's going to be a little pace on in here. And I don't think Jose Lezcano is going to let them too far out of his sights. I think Jose will lay this horse up I don't want to say close to the pace, but in the right spot. Jose's been riding really well, and he's been doing so by being aggressive and by finding the right trip, which is something he's been good at for 15 years. This horse is going to be a little bit of a price today. I thought this horse was a little interesting. They tried this horse in the Dueling Grounds Derby down at Kentucky Downs last time out. He's got some time between his races now.
Going a mile and 5/16.
Yeah,
too.
cutting back to a mile and a 16th. I think this horse is a little interesting today. Him and the two outside horses in here were the interesting ones to me. Creative Plan
as well. Yeah.
he's getting back to the turf. So it's got to beat a length in the Mystic Lake Derby up at Canterbury. I know that's, it's not exactly the Breeders' Cup turf, but he's run well on the grass and really almost all of his starts. You throw out the Laurel race in his debut and then at Kentucky Downs. The 3 races on conventional courses have been pretty good. So
we'll see if he can get back to the winning ways today after trying graded stakes company on the dirt last time out. I thought that this was a tricky race. I found it pretty competitive, and you could make a case for several in here, a lot dropping in class. You mentioned Talking, who's just plain and simple been running against tougher. That Jersey Derby has turned out to be very live into the Saranac and the Jimmy Murphy. Those horses coming out of there as well. Bye Bye Melvin's been good. Ocean Map, speaking of Jimmy Murphy, ran in there. He'd been good using pace. I was wondering if, and he's a fast horse. I was wondering, and you bring up a good point about Talking, adding blinkers, if he might try to press Ocean's Map a little bit, because I thought he, hopefully Junior Alvarado just lets him go out of the gate. He might be able to just kind of get a little comfortable on the front end.
yeah. No question about it. Ocean's Map, who wired 2 fields at Monmouth, 2 prior starts to that. I guess we call him Jimmy now, Jimmy Murphy.
Jimmy Murphy.
I didn't know you were.
That's what I always called
I didn't know
it.
you were that friendly with him. Acacia calls him Jimmy. Some of us call him James.
In Maryland, every single person calls it the Jimmy Murphy.
Oh, I did not know that. Oh, see, you learn something new every day.
There you go.
This horse's own. The Murphy was the only bad turf race. It was over yielding ground. All of his firm turf races are good. Look, there's 7 horses in here. I don't know if I'd be surprised if any of them won this race.
Absolutely. Coming out, Ocean's Map coming out of the James W. Murphy. As we take a quick time out, we'll be back with more Talking Horses after this.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Welcome back to Talking Horses, Thursday edition. The A-Train, Acacia Courtney and Anthony Stabile, happy to have you with us. I love it. We had to get one of those in here.
5 years.
Yeah.
A-Train's 5 years, a little over 5 years old.
Yeah.
I think we did our first broadcast together on HRN for the
Charlestown
Oaks.
Yeah,
Of
it
the
was.
Equestrian at
It
Aqueduct.
was. I took the subway
Wow.
in the middle of the night to Aqueduct, so that's how dedicated I was to getting a job in horse racing.
Look at us now.
Look at us now.
We had the pigeons hanging out with us in the
It
Equestrian.
was good company, as it always
That
is.
was a fun time. The old haunted elevator that's been fixed since.
Has it been?
Just stop at 3 or 4. Oh yeah.
Oh.
Spiffing
exciting.
the old girl up. Looking forward to getting back to Aqueduct.
Yeah,
Get
me
back
too.
to Aqueduct in a couple
I
of
haven't
weeks.
been in a while. Be there for November before heading down to Florida. Looking forward to it. for
Yeah, we
sure.
open up Breeders' Cup Friday, November 6th. That's a
Absolutely.
big day.
All right, 5th race coming up here today. Beautiful Belmont Park, 6.5 furlongs on the main track, $30,000 maiden claiming event. And you have the 1A and the 1. I just have a all-inclusive 1 as the entry because it's kind of tough to really like very much of anybody in here. You've got the tremendous pedigree on the plain 1 and Market Impact, who's the half-brother to West Coast out of Caressing. And then you've got Joint and Several, who was purchased for $210,000, debuting for $30,000.
McLean's Music. Been very popular lately.
He's had a great year.
That Jackie's Warrior guy is
Absolutely.
pretty fast. I'm looking forward to that junior. It's probably the horse I'm looking forward to the most at the Breeders' Cup. Watching, seeing if Jackie's Warrior is as good as I hope he is.
Yeah.
And people hope he is. I don't want to offend anybody here, but I've kind of seen enough of most of these in here.
Yeah.
And Market Impact and Joint and Several we haven't seen at all. Again, like you mentioned, it's cost over $200,000, not debuting until late October of his 3-year-old year. Obviously, you know, there have been circumstances that have kept him away from the races, but this entry looks really tough. You mentioned the half to West Coast, getting back to the dirt off of a year-plus layoff. He tried him on the turf last time, did trainer Jorge Abreu. I mean, he chased and he tied. I mean, I don't think he ran that poorly off the layoff. He didn't really take to the turf, I don't think. This entry looks like it's going to be really, really tough to beat today, for me anyway. And this is an interesting race today because it's the Crossroads race. It ends the early pick 4, early pick 5. It kicks off the late pick 5 on the 9 race card. Obviously part of the Empire 6. I know I got Tri-St. Lorenzo in between the entry. Truth of the matter is, I'm going to single the entry, and I'm just going to hope for the best. I'm a little chalky today. I'm a little embarrassed, to be honest with you. It's a little bit of a chalky day for me.
Feel bad too. We don't like chalk up here, but they look tough, that's for sure. We'll see if Market Impact or Joint and Several can get to the winner's circle today. Tri-St. Lorenzo and Kickin' Kirby both have been right there, but they're both 0 for 12. But we'll see if one of them can grab a share. As we flip the page, 6th race, maiden special weight, inner turf, a mile and a 16th here, and Senja Kentucket and Scent coming out of the same race back at the end of September at Belmont. And while Senja Kentucket's the speed for sure, Scent actually ran a very good race being bottled down inside there.
Yeah. Senja Kentucket on the front end in here. I believe this is a road in a town in Cape Cod, if I'm not mistaken. I called the source in the winter, and I actually called a bar to make sure I got the name right. That's what we do. Yeah, you see Kant not being able to, no pun intended, get through there. This is another one of those races, Acacia. I X'd Lady Rosalie, and the other 7.
Lady Rosalie, who has the best
win?
pedigree in the field by Dubowie, the half to Summerfront.
The only horse
she
I
doesn't
crossed
look
out.
like either of those horses. I'm just saying,
No.
she's a little bit tough to take.
Yeah, but no one else would shock me in here. You know, you saw the trip Kant had. It looked like if she got through, she could have got the money last time out and got out of the main ranks from my friend Tom Morley. Javier Castellano going to stick. Senja Kentucket's going to be on the front end from the rail. You would think Apurate on the far outside may have something to say about that early on, but you know, on this turn, the inside draws are so important. So when a horse like Senja Kentucket, again, going back to Jose Lascano, he's going to be aggressive. He's going to protect position. We'll see what Luis Saez can do with Apurate on the far outside. Part of the reason I don't like Apurate today is the post. Putting her on the chase from that draw with a fast horse inside. I went to All American Dream. And this is Johnny Velasquez for Grand Motion, a daughter of American Pharaoh. Again, this horse didn't debut until late into her 3-year-old year. But I'll say this. They ran her going 6 furlongs first time out. She looked like a horse that absolutely, positively needed a race. Now, she took some money that day. She was 6-1 that day, and I think she's going to be the same price today. So I think there was a little bit of a buzz around this horse. She took some money. I thought she ran sneaky good. And I think that with the stretch out, the race under her belt, Johnny sticking around, I want to take a shot with her today, a little bit of a price.
You know, I actually fooled around with almost putting her on top as well. And I just kind of, like you talked about with the format of the way this race shapes up, felt like the inside horses. But All-American Dream is interesting, and I remember Maggie Wolfendale, and obviously trust her opinion, and she said that she felt that this horse didn't look like a sprinter, like she would appreciate some more ground. So she's going to get that today. So that should really be a key as well. But I just landed on a firster. She was expensive. She's got a nice pedigree in the family of Point of Entry, Pine Island. That's the 6th Berenice, debuting for Jonathan Thomas. We'll see if she runs to that pedigree. Joel Rosario aboard, and just hoping maybe a fresh face who looks ready to roll and kind of a little bit of just a pedigree play in here. But you talked about, I think the 4 horses we have, you can make a case for them for sure.
Yeah, and Berenice makes a lot of sense in here. I almost put her second. I even flirted with putting her on top as well. Jonathan Thomas doesn't reach out for Joel Rosario too often.
That's what I thought.
That's 1. 2, Jonathan Thomas's barn is very streaky. And right now the horses seem to be running.
Yep.
And
a
I think
nice
that's
2-year-old
important.
firster the other week that debuted here.
Yeah, I think that's important. Because, again, you got some horses here. Senja Kentucket's 0 for 7. You mentioned Lady Rosalie's 0 for 11. The 4 Look Me Over 0 for 6. You got some debuters in here, too. But this race, to me, looks ripe for a horse that doesn't have a lot of experience. And I sided with three of them in here, really. Cantor's the one I think you can't ignore. We both have her second just off that last race. If she comes back and runs that last race, she's going to be tough today.
Beaten just a length last time out. As you went for a second-time starter, I'm with the firsters. We go to race 7, a mile and a 16th on the main track here for the 3-year-olds, an upward $25,000 claiming race. And looking at this race, I pulled the spotlight for Lucky Ramsey, and it was on the turf. We don't have to show that, but I did want to show the Claudio Gonzalez stat, as this I thought was a pretty significant stat. And I know that some of the dirt races with Eddie Barker were pretty dismal, but going from turf to dirt with mid-level claimers, the numbers for this barn are sensational. 32% win, 57% of the time in the money, and it's a positive ROI as well. And just more than anything, he's in good form right now, and we don't see many horses come up to New York for Claudio Gonzalez. He dominates in the Mid-Atlantic. So I'm going to take a shot here with this 7-year-old gelding by looking at Lucky.
So to me, this horse is feast or famine. You have to put the horse on top like you did, or you have to leave this horse out like I did.
Yeah.
I don't think you could put this horse third.
No.
I don't think you could, you either think this horse is going to win or you don't like this horse. I don't like him based on his races on the dirt at Naira.
Sure.
They were for Eddie. They were not for Claudio Gonzalez. I understand that. His two dirt races for Claudio Gonzalez are off the turf races at Laurel. I think they need to be taken with a little bit of a grain of salt in here. You couldn't have found a bookmaker this morning to take the action on me not picking Control Group today. I was picking Control Group today. And I do feel like Control Group is supposed to win this race.
No flowers for Lisa to deal with today.
For a couple of reasons. That's the biggest one. Getting a little bit of a target. You see, American Lincoln has the speed to get in front of Control Group. He didn't Control Group 2 years ago. Nobody was getting in front of Control Group. He does now. But Control Group has shown, and he did it 3 back at Saratoga, that he can pass horses now. I do believe American Lincoln's going to go. I think Jose's going to put Control Group right on top of him. I think it's a little different chasing American Lincoln than it was chasing Flowers for Lisa last time. A lot different, in fact. And then what's going to come coming? Yeah, maybe Lucky Ramsey comes coming late. Hammer and Aimer takes a drop. He got claimed for 20. He ran for 40 last time. He's coming back pretty quick, just 10 days. I thought Hammer and Aimer had a little bit of a...
I think he hated the slop last time.
I don't think he really cared for it either. And he has a couple of big numbers in the slop in his career, but I don't think he's a horse that really likes a wet track either. He was the horse at a little bit of a price, because I do think they're going to bet Lucky Ramsey. I think Dynamax Prime's going to take some money, just simply, getting a little class relief in here. Seemingly getting class relief. I don't know how much different this is from the 40, although Our Last Buck and Vintage Hollywood and Twisted Tom would be any price in this field. So he's getting a little, I think he'll take some money in here. I think the Broberg horse, the number 3, Attentive's going to take a little money. I'm going to try a 2-4 in here, but I'm going to lean pretty heavily on Control Group today.
Control Group, will he get back to the winner's circle today, as no flowers for Lisa to deal with this afternoon? On to the 8th race. We're going a mile and a 16th on the inner turf here, allowance optional claiming. And the inside horse is all the MTOs. The one to beat is Bala Rocks. And I think you must have been excited, as was I, to see this 7-year-old get back to winning form. And in stakes company as well in the Lure last time, beating Largent and Devamani, who of course came back to win the Knickerbocker.
Yeah, he won the Knickerbocker. Largent went down to Colonial, I believe, and won a stakes race there. You see him in for the 62.5, and it's, look, he's a 7-year-old.
He has no conditions left.
There's no conditions left, right? If you think you're going to go claim him and make a stallion out of him somewhere, good luck. It was nice to see him get the money last time out. Supposed to get a good setup in here. I'm kind of embarrassed that I picked this horse again. I mean, this has just been, my towel's not here. Frank Maramati loves that I used to carry a towel around. I've upgraded to handkerchiefs now, but I should get the towel. I should get the towel to just wipe all the chalk off of my face today. Yeah. Well, he's supposed to beat these horses. I mean, unless Zarkalani, who's out of the fantastic race mare Zarkava overseas, unless he's coming, with the goods, Bala Rocks is supposed to win.
Yeah, he is. And Zarkalani has, I think he has some things to prove, because I think that you look and you see that he faced Group 1, Group 3 company back over in Europe, but he hasn't really done anything spectacular as of yet. So he's got the pedigree to back it up, of course. Zakharova, winner of the French Oaks, the Arc, I mean, she was sensational. And she's been a good producer as well. She's had a Group 1 winner, a Group 1 place horse as well. So we'll see if this one can make his U.S. debut a winning one. I was just looking for a slight alternative to Bala Rocks, but I agree he is the one to beat. What about some of the horses on the outside? Century, Winning Factor?
I'm going to tell you, yeah, I mean, Century's always dangerous. The complexion of this race changed a little bit when King's Honor came out. Now,
Sure.
Abiding Star was going to be on the lead in here. But King's Honor has enough speed to keep it a little interesting. King's Honor's gone now. And, you know, we've seen Abiding Star get loose on the lead here at Belmont Park in particular and just keep going. That worries me a little bit in here. Now, Bala Rocks is not the most consistent type. He's certainly not a reliable type, and he was a horse that I was interested in using some of the others. Winning Factor, I mean, David Donk has done an amazing job of Winning Factor since taking over his training. You know, if you handicap this race with Bala Rocks out of it, it looks like Abiding Star is going to be on the lead, and you kind of work backwards from there. So to me, I'm looking at the race two ways. I'm going to use, obviously, I'm going to press a Bala Rocks, but with all of the chalk I like earlier in the card, I think he's the most vulnerable today.
Yeah,
and it's weird to say that about the classiest of the chalks, but I do, just because of his inconsistency. He just doesn't win as often as a horse
Well, he's
that's earned
consistent.
almost.
He's just
he just
not
doesn't win.
consistently winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's consistently right there. I agree. I thought Century was a little bit interesting. You bring up a great point about the pace, and that was a reason I mentioned Winning Factor, is he has the ability to be a little bit closer if need be. So we'll see if that can happen, as it's pretty incredible having won for 40,000 and just kind of stepping up the ladders. And he's good right now, and I think that's the kind of horse you have to pay attention to for Dave Donk.
Yeah, my biggest issue with Century, who's a nice horse, is of all of the horses in here, I think he's the most pace dependent, and I don't see it. I don't know where it's coming from. So he probably wants a little bit more ground as well, especially in a race where there's Abiding Star and there's everybody else as far as the pace is concerned. So Abiding Star's little brother's running earlier on the card too. I think that Me and Mr. C is a.
Oh, cool! You're right. It might be.
Yeah, I think Me and Mr. C is a half. So, see
got a little family action
brothers
going
on the card today. Yeah, that's always fun.
I love it. All right, we'll see if Century, who doesn't have much speed, but there is good old Abiding Star, as Anthony has the 7-year-olds in an exacta there. Abiding Star, Bala Rocks, the one to beat. One more race on the card, a mile and a 16th on the turf. The New York breds maiden claiming for 40,000. And this race I had a tough time with, because Silver Token's probably the one to beat, I guess, on the drop for Horacio de Paz, but he wasn't able to win for this level with Linda Rice last year.
He wasn't able to win for this level with Linda Rice, and I'm going to tell you what. He was running competitively in the special weight events going short. He was not competitive last time going long. And I don't think it's a class issue with him. I do believe it's a distance issue. I really don't want this horse. He's 2-1 on the morning line. I didn't put him 1, 2, 3, 4. The guy who usually sits next to me would be yelling at me for this. I don't like this horse today. I don't think this horse wants to go this distance. I don't think it's class related. I don't. I can definitively tell you this is not a thing where I'm trying to be snarky because I picked all the other chalk. I'm not using it. This horse wins, I'm losing today.
All right. I landed on the 8 Z Finale, thinking he sneakily actually ran pretty well last time out. Everybody was chasing a 99-1 shot who was a runoff in the race, which that always makes it fun for changing the complexion of how the race plays out. And he was kind of in that first group in that chasing mode after there. while the top 2 finishers were able to make kind of that later run into it, he was kind of right there to take over, being right behind, and then just seemed to be a touch flat. But hoping that this one can maybe step forward and be a bit of a better price for Jim Bond and Luis Saez, who were unstoppable together in Saratoga.
They were, and let's be honest, this was getting a big rider change to Luis Saez. Here's the one problem I have. As hot as the connections were in Saratoga,
It's been cool.
they've been cold as ice down here. In fact, the one win, Wild William, was when the other speed got left, and Wild William was just able to get in the front and control the pace. It was a very fortunate victory. Jimmy and the team do a great job. It's just sometimes, you know, when you have meets to where you win at 29, 30%, there's kind of nowhere to go but down.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, when you fire your big shots up at Saratoga, and you figure you're going to go through some lean times here. With that said, this horse can obviously win. It's a maiden 40 on the turf for state breds. This horse can obviously win off the trail. I just feel like he was left with too much to do. He made up a lot of ground in a short amount of time last time, and then, like you said, he just kind of stalled. Louis probably going to time that move a little bit better, and if he runs his last race and improves off it, he'll be right there. I thought he could win this race. I wound up with Michael's Bad Boy. This is really interesting. Took this horse from Michelle Nevin, gave the horse to Saffie Joseph. The horse went to Florida, trained at Palm Meadows, and now he's back here to run for maiden 40.
Yeah.
It's very curious. I don't know if it means. I don't know if it
I
means
know
a
he's
thing.
a New York bred, but why he traveled down?
I
guess
understand
maybe
it.
Saffie doesn't have stalls here, but I've never seen
guess.
Larry Goichman with horses with Saffie either. so
Yeah,
this must be
neither
new.
have I.
Yeah.
Rad Ortiz Jr. is going to climb aboard. And this horse is run at this level, and he has 2 races at this level at the distance that would take Silver Token out of this field, would just really put a hurting on the rest of this field. But I want to spread in here. I'm going to use those 2. I'm going to use Starship Empire a little bit. The number 4 is at 20-1. Horse was off a June layoff. Kind of had an interesting start last time. Stretches out from 6th to the mile on the 16th. Takes the weight with Louis Cardenas winding up here. I want to use the 10 Self-Made for Mott. I don't know what happened last time. Horse got into a little bit of trouble on the turn and called it a day after that. And Noble Mischief, who he dropped in 2 starts back, had a little bit too much to do while wide, and then last time he kind of fired a little bit of a better shot. And I think I want to try and beat the favorite in here, so I'm going to go on like a 4 or 5 horse spread.
Good luck. Silver Token. We'll see what happens with him there in the last race, but I like it getting some prices there to wrap up the day as we wrap up this edition of Talking Horses, and we'll be back at it the next few days.
Yes,
So no worries about that.
all week. This will be fun. Be
1
nice
week only.
to, yeah. Limited time.
Limited time. Everything must go. Kidding. No sales up here. Don't get too excited.
Acacia's big on that. Whenever there's like carryover, she gets very excited. Mandatory payout days, it's like an everything must go. Like when you walk by the stores in the village, everything must go.
Yeah,
But
people think I'm like an obsessive online shopper. I'm just a sucker for a deal.
But
You
then
give me
what
a
happens-
sale and I'm all about
And
it.
just like those stores that wind up there like 6, 7, 8 years, there's another mandatory payout like 3 weeks later. So you come back with your same stick.
You always have another option. Well, speaking of being involved in getting ready for those mandatory payout days, don't forget to be a member of Naira Bets. You can use promo code CUP25 as we get ready for the Breeders' Cup just a couple weeks away. Get that free $25 bet. Don't forget about the Belmont Saturday contest as well. You can register at naira.com/challenge, $250 buy-in. Lots of fun. Of course, getting ready for America's Day at the races starting shortly around 12:30.
I believe the contest registration ends tomorrow,
At
Friday
5.
at 5. So get registered for the contest before tomorrow night, Friday night at 5 p.m.
Alrighty. Make sure you set your alarms for that as well. But right now, we'll send it up to the one, the only, the great John Embrielle for a reprise of Scratches and Changes.